The cover of this week's Economist, and like I keep telling people, you got to read the FT and the Economist. It shows you how the party of Davos thinks. But this week's Economist, we can get up there, is this. It's about the worldwide famine that's coming, the food shortages, and it's got wheat, a couple of things of wheat, and the wheat, the kernels of the wheat inside you look are skulls, and the article is absolutely brutal. Alfie Oakes, we had Jared Majewski on today, running for Congress, Northwest Ohio, said he had breakfast right before he came to the show with farmers that said, hey, my costs are up 3x, 300%, just based upon the fuel prices of fertilizer and what it takes to do the tractors and the combines and all that. What are you seeing in Florida, sir?
Well, we're seeing the same thing. And I'd like to say to Steve Stern there, I got a good friend of mine, Drew Montez Clark, is a Republican running over there in the liberal town that they live in over Broward County. So good luck to him. But we're seeing when I saw this earlier today, and I saw the skull and crossbones on there. There's actually a couple different meanings to that. One is obviously these rising costs, and we're seeing fertilizer increases here in Florida of around 250%. We don't grow wheat here in Florida. We it's too expensive to grow things here. It's not even logical. That's why you don't see any wheat here in Florida. And it can grow, but it just costs us even like 3x more in fertilizer. But that's just one input cost as far as that's relative to us. I'm seeing every single input cost across the board, and I could name off 15 of them, and they're all up between 200 and 300%. And it really doesn't. There's not a lot of logic behind it.
Alfie, hang on for 1 second. So, Alfie, just talk about, you're one of the biggest farmers in Florida. Talk about, because here's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure people know what's coming, right? We live forward, but people look in the rear, but we live forward. So tell me what you're seeing.
Well, we're seeing input costs, to the likes of nothing we've ever seen before, 250 to 300% input cost increases across the board. There's a product like, for instance, plastic mulch. We use about 3 rolls of that to an acre. We farmed this past year. We farmed 3,200 acres. That's 9,600 rolls. And last year I bought ahead because I knew that I had to buy ahead a little bit because it has traditionally all my life, it has followed the barrel of oil price. So if we go back to 2008 and we go back to 2013, we see barrel prices of oil that are very similar to what we're seeing right now, actually. The barrel price. And last year I bought ahead at $85 a roll. I actually bought around $4.5 million worth of extra plastic last year, knowing that it would probably go up because of Sleepy Joe in there, that the oil was going to go up, and we're going to probably be paying $110, $115 a roll like we did before. Now it's up $300. It's up to $300 a roll. It's almost to $300. And this is, the wooden stakes are up 300%. Almost every farm input cost that we have. And as a result of it, I have 250 trucks on the road. Obviously I don't need to tell anybody what the diesel prices are. We've seen diesel prices like as high as I've ever seen them before. I am this next year, and I have 4,000 employees. I'm an independently owned business with 4,000 employees. We are cutting our farm acreage back from 3,200 acres down to 1,000 acres because I'm not going to take the risk of putting all this out there. Unfortunately, where I'm at here in South Florida, I compete directly with Mexico. And because, it comes back to politics, because of the terrible job that this administration is doing at the border, letting the trucks come through. If you have a NAFTA sticker on your truck, you're coming through, you're not getting checked. There's been 2,300 trucks of fentanyl that we've caught here coming across the border back during the Trump administration. Now they're not hardly catching any of them like they were because they're not even checking. There's probably 3 times as much coming through right now that's ever, and it gives them an unfair playing field. So we're cutting back to 1,000 acres.
Are you taking? You're telling me you're taking 2/3 of your acreage on farming? You're taking that offline because of the potential of getting upside down on cost?
And to be honest with you, I'm happy with it because I never the Mexican squeeze and all this, and it goes back to everything goes back to bad politics. This whole NAFTA agreement was the beginning of it. It was the beginning of the end of the Florida farmers. I'm a first generation farmer. I didn't grow up farming. I started farming when I, as a first generation farmer when I was 19 years old. When I was 19 years old, I used to go out to Immokalee. I lived in Fort Myers. It was about 40-mile ride out to Immokalee to buy my product. There was hundreds of farmers out there, hundreds, and all across South Florida, and Homestead, Okeechobee, all around there, loaded with farmers. Now, I'm one of 5 farmers left in Immokalee. The only way that you can stay in business is if you're vertically integrated, and now that's even becoming impossible. It's really insane what we're seeing here.
Alfie, we're going to get into more of this next week. Right now, how do people find you? Social media, all of it. And Dave, I'm going to ask you to stay through to the next hour of the show. I got more energy stuff to go through with you because people are starting to get slammed. Alfie, how do people follow you?
At Alfie at Oakes Farms, or actually alfieforamerica.com, alfieforamerica.com. Yeah, I looked at that cover there with the wheat on it, and it's scary that we're going to have this food shortage, but it also reminded me of something else with the wheat. The other gentleman on your show was just talking about how in the 1960s, right now we're producing 2x, like double the amount of product per acre, but the food that we're producing is only half as healthy, or maybe even half as nutritious, or a third as nutritious, and that's also related to a lot of other health problems. And that's time for we could get into that on another story. But the wheat that we eat here in the United States is a felony to use in Europe because it's so bad for you. And even Putin, like 6 or 7 years ago, stopped allowing them to use this Roundup Ready GMO wheat to his people because he saw the devastating effects that it is. But that's a little bit different subject.
Alfie, no. We'll get into this all next week.